They just found a surefire way to solve this housing crisis, and believe it or not, it actually sounds kind of cool. Well, that is if you take out the factor that you can't breathe oxygen in these houses. And no, I'm not talking about houses being built underwater. That would be just too far-fetched, right? I'm talking about the moon. And again, no, not just for astronauts.
Well, NASA is planning on building homes in a subdivision that is out of this world, and quite literally too. It's not just for astronauts, but for average people like you and me. The space agency recently awarded a Texas-based construction technology company a $60 million contract to build moon homes for humans by 2040. Former NASA astronaut, current USC astronautical engineering professor, and SpaceX senior advisor Garrett Reisman's been on 3 spacewalks. He's joining us now. Professor Reisman, thanks for being here.
It's a pleasure, Marky. Good morning.
Good morning. Okay, so civilian subdivisions on the moon by 2040. Mars apparently not long after that. Looking into your crystal ball, do we actually see this happen?
You know, I think we will get there eventually. No question. As long as we find a way to get along, I think humanity is destined to move out into the solar system. The moon's a good place to start. And as you mentioned, Mars is really the goal. But the moon is a lot closer, and there's a lot we need to learn before we're ready really to head out directly to Mars. Yeah,
we'll see if 17 years is enough time to figure it out, all the moving pieces. I wanted to ask you about this. I know that NASA, to build this, NASA wants to launch a giant 3D printer to the moon and use lunar concrete made of rocks, mineral fragments, dust to layer the structures of these homes, basically using everything that's already up there. Why 3D printing to build lunar habitats?
Well, in either going to the moon or going onto Mars, we really need to find a way to live off the land. The problem is that it's really hard to bring a lot of stuff with you.
You know, I got a solution for that problem. Just don't go to Mars or the moon to build houses. How about that? I mean, like, what the heck, right? But hey, do you want to go and live on the moon or Mars for that matter? I mean, maybe you do. I'm not trying to judge. But the important question here is, are we going to be paying for space taxes there? Now, as you contemplate that life-altering decision, make sure to smash the thumbs up button for the video. I swear I have serious content as well. This really entertained me. And as you guys do that, go ahead and subscribe to the channel and turn on all notifications, because I cover a lot of stuff on here that relates to all of us. I appreciate the love, you guys. Now, while this news sounds like a comedy skit, the idea of housing people in outer space makes it feel like we don't have enough homes here in our own world. But while they're thinking about space and all that stuff, let's get back to Earth, where reality's setting in for the federal government, right? So what's the reality? Well, the reality is that Americans are waking up to these bogus numbers that they keep giving us month by month, even though we see the president saying this on TV.
You heard me say it before, I'm going to keep saying it. My dad had an expression. He said, Joey, a job's about a lot more than a paycheck. It's about your dignity. It's about respect. It's about being able to look your kid in the eye and say, honey, it's going to be okay, and mean it. Well, 336,000 more Americans, if they have children, can say that to their children and mean it. The unemployment rate has stayed below 4% for 20 months in a row, the longest stretch in 50 years. We've achieved a 70-year low in unemployment rate for women, record lows in unemployment for African Americans and Hispanic workers, and people with disabilities, folks who have been left behind in previous recoveries and left behind for too long. We have the highest share of working-age Americans in the workforce in 20 years. And it's no accident. It's Bidenomics. We're growing the economy from the middle out, the bottom up, not the top down. And inflation is coming down at the same time. It's down 60% since last summer. Core inflation was just 2.2% over the past 3 months. And now we have the lowest inflation of any major economy in the world.
Sorry. I'm not really sure what part to talk about first, but let's go ahead and focus on the job numbers here, all right? So this year alone, the U.S. economy has added more than 2.3 million jobs with the unemployment rate below 4%. The data also suggests that there are almost 10 million, I repeat, 10 million openings for people who want to work right now. And you're thinking to yourself, well, a strong labor market should show that the economy is strong, right? Well, not exactly. I mean, like, why else would we see around 80 to 90% of my comments talking about how things are so bad for our economy? And sometimes it's not even a video about the state of our nation. That's how much more aware people are of what's really happening. And here's another staggering truth that continues to be ignored. Job numbers have been revised down almost every single month this this year. But the headline, the shocking job numbers that continue to just smash all expectations will be announced first, of course, right? And by the time the revision comes, well, who cares then, right? But here's a great sign that things are on the up and up. Sikorsky, the aviation company that was recently awarded a $650 million contract to build helicopters for our government, they just cut 179 of their workers. And I'm not kidding, guys, and I did not stutter. I mean, maybe I did before I edited this video, but we're beside that. They got a contract for more than $500 million and decided that it was time for layoffs. What in the world, right? But the reason as to why they're cutting people off is even better. It's because they lost out on a $1.3 billion contract to manufacture new aircrafts, still with the US government.
The congressional delegation saying they're deeply disappointed in this decision. Now, this all started in December when the Army awarded this contract to Bell instead of Sikorsky. Sikorsky challenged, but that's now been denied, leaving state leaders with lots of questions.
Our American men and women deserve the best.
Sikorsky, owned by Lockheed Martin, has been manufacturing Black Hawk helicopters for 40 years.
All the helicopter pilots around the world would have to learn how to fly a completely different helicopter.
The Connecticut-based aircraft manufacturer faced off against Texas-based Bell in hopes of winning a $1.3 billion Army contract to manufacture a new aircraft to replace the Army's fleet of Black Hawk helicopters. The Army chose Bell.
I am very fearful that the Army has, in effect, chosen a bright and shiny object, which is going to be far more expensive and far less cost effective.
Sikorsky challenged the Army's decision, but Thursday, the Government Accountability Office denied that challenge, recommending the federal government uphold the Army's decision. Connecticut's legislators in Congress want answers.
They owe us the facts about the merits of these two proposals, which they have refused to give us.
Blumenthal says Army leadership refuses to provide lawmakers with a detailed briefing to understand why Sikorsky lost to Bell.
But this is just one of those things where you got to question, like, what the heck is really going on here, right? And since we're talking about flight, let's go ahead and talk about SBF, or more commonly known as Sam Bankman-Fried. I remember him, right? Well, the former billionaire of the now bankrupt FTX company, they just had two private jets worth almost $30 million confiscated during his trial. Guess he won't be needing those. Now, if this is the first time that you guys are hearing that this guy had a private jet, let alone two, don't worry, you're probably not alone. But you gotta wonder though, like, why does he need two private jets? Was he worried that one of them might be stolen or something? Maybe he's like, all right, if I ever need to get an oil change on one of them, I'll have a backup. I don't know. So SBF is deemed as a flight risk. So I'm a little bit worried that they only just now found out about these jets recently, because if that's the case, just how many more are we going to see? Maybe he's got more than two, for all we know. What else is not open to the public? Now, on that note, what are you guys' thoughts on all the things we talked about today? Anything specific that caught your attention? Make sure you share them down in the comment section down below. And before I go, guys, I just want to thank you guys for hanging out. Thanks for dropping a like for the video. Thank you for subscribing. I'm going to catch you guys on the next one. Be safe.